Hello friends. Love between a Pisces man and a Gemini woman often feels like a story straight out of a novel, a tale of fantasy, paradox, laughter, and deep longing, woven together by two souls that seem almost opposite in nature. Yet, the magnetic pull between these signs can be undeniable, even if it comes with its fair share of storms and sunshine. To understand how this connection works, we must dive deeply into the heart of astrology, examining not just surface-level attraction but the layers that form the foundation of their relationship. Chemistry. Initial attraction. When a Pisces man and a Gemini woman first meet, it often feels like something more than coincidence. It's not just two people crossing paths, it feels like fate placing two souls with vastly different rhythms into the same moment in time, just to see what happens. There is usually a flicker of recognition, a spark that neither of them can quite explain. Pisces, with his quiet, soulful presence, almost radiates a sense of otherworldliness. He doesn't approach the world with loudness or bravado, but with a kind of soft, magnetic pull that makes people lean in without even realizing it. Gemini, on the other hand, is like a firework in motion, lively, unpredictable, filled with questions, humor, and a restless curiosity that dances in her eyes. To her, he looks like a riddle. To him, she feels like light breaking through clouds. From the very beginning, their attraction has layers. On a purely physical level, Gemini woman notices something unusual about Pisces man. It might be the way his eyes linger, as if they're searching deeper than most people ever bother to look, or the way he listens intently even before she has said much. He seems calm in a world of chaos, a figure who radiates empathy without speaking a word. For a woman who thrives on stimulation and new discoveries, this quality feels refreshing. He is not chasing her with flashy displays, not competing for her attention like so many others. Instead, he draws her in by holding back just enough, by being a mystery she wants to solve. Pisces, meanwhile, finds himself mesmerized by her energy. The Gemini woman has a charm that is electric. She speaks with wit and intelligence, she moves with a playful confidence, and she has the ability to make the most mundane moment feel like an adventure. To Pisces, who often dwells in the quieter waters of imagination, her vibrancy is intoxicating. She makes him feel lighter, as though his world of dreams might actually take on wings. While he might spend hours lost in thought, she bursts into his presence with a story, a joke, or an unexpected idea, and suddenly the air around him shifts. He feels awakened, drawn out of his shell, pulled into motion by her effortless liveliness. There is also something deeper that passes between them in that first connection, a recognition of opposites that somehow fit. He is water, fluid, emotional, reflective. She is air, fast, changeable, intellectual. Together, they create something ephemeral, like a mist that hangs between them. It's neither fully hers nor fully his, but it belongs to both, a shared energy that keeps them circling back toward one another. When she speaks, he feels as though she's carrying pieces of the world he has only ever dreamed of exploring. When he looks at her, she feels as though he sees through the noise of her words into something truer, something she rarely reveals. The paradox is that the very qualities that pull them together can also become sources of tension later. Pisces longs for depth from the start. He is not interested in shallow connections, he wants to merge souls, to lose himself in love that feels fated and profound. Gemini, in contrast, values exploration and lightness. She falls in love with possibilities, not with confinement. While she may be enchanted by his depth, she is also cautious, instinctively keeping things playful at first, because she knows her freedom is essential to her happiness. For now, this difference doesn't feel like a problem. It simply adds to the tension, the push and pull that makes their chemistry so charged. But beneath the laughter and curiosity, the seeds of future challenges are already there. Still, in those early moments, the magic is undeniable. Their conversations flow effortlessly, even if they seem to be speaking different languages. Gemini fills the air with stories, jokes, and questions, while Pisces listens with the kind of patience and warmth that makes her feel like the most fascinating person in the world. He doesn't just hear her words, he absorbs the emotion behind them, reflecting it back to her with his subtle smiles or thoughtful comments. She, in turn, draws him out, teasing him with playful remarks, prodding him to share his thoughts, pulling secrets out of him that he rarely reveals to anyone else. Even the silences between them feel charged. Gemini, who usually rushes to fill any gap in conversation, sometimes finds herself unexpectedly comfortable in the quiet of Pisces' presence. It's as though his calmness invites her to pause, to breathe, to exist without needing to perform. Pisces, who often retreats into silence as a defense, finds that with her, the quiet is not lonely, it's alive with potential. On a symbolic level, their ruling planets tell the story of their attraction. Mercury, the planet of communication, gives Gemini her restless, quicksilver nature. She is endlessly curious, darting from one idea to the next, her mind always spinning. Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions, gives Pisces his depth, his longing, his ability to see beyond the surface into the soul of things. When Mercury and Neptune meet, something unusual happens. Her words inspire his imagination gives depth to her words. She brings clarity and humor to his dreamy nature, while he brings poetry and magic to her logical mind. Together, they create conversations that are unlike anything either has experienced before, half laughter, half confession, and entirely unforgettable. The physical attraction also plays a role, though it may not be obvious at first. Pisces man is often subtle in his demeanor, not the type to flaunt himself, but his very restraint can be alluring. He radiates sensitivity, an unspoken promise that he would never take love lightly. Gemini, who thrives on variety, may not always look for this at first, but she quickly realizes how different it feels to be seen by someone who isn't trying to impress her, but rather to understand her. For Pisces, Gemini's physical energy, her expressive gestures, her sparkling eyes, her playful tone, awakens something primal in him. She feels alive in a way that stirs his senses, reminding him that passion can be both spiritual and exhilarating. At the heart of their initial attraction is this: he sees in her the possibility of living with more spontaneity, laughter, and adventure, while she sees in him the promise of being truly known and deeply cherished. He feels like the ocean she has never dared to dive into. She feels like the sky he has always wanted to fly through. It is not an ordinary meeting, it is a collision of worlds, an invitation to explore what happens when water and air create something new together. And though they may not recognize it in the moment, the mist that forms when they meet is more than just chemistry. It is the beginning of a journey, one that is unpredictable, sometimes turbulent, but always magnetic. Their initial attraction is not just about desire, it is about the strange and beautiful recognition that two such different souls might still belong in the same story. And now, a little side note. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a thanks button right under this video. Your support truly helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let's continue. Emotional dynamics. When exploring the emotional world of a Pisces man and a Gemini woman, one quickly discovers that it is a landscape of contrasts. Flowing rivers meeting restless winds, depth colliding with lightness, vulnerability paired with curiosity. At its core, the emotional dynamic between these two signs is both breathtakingly beautiful and undeniably challenging. It is a mixture of enchantment and difficulty, a fusion of warmth and turbulence, because the way they experience and process emotions could not be more different. For the Pisces man, emotions are not just a part of life, they are life. He experiences feelings like tides, constantly moving, rising, falling, crashing gently or violently against the shore of his soul. His sensitivity is not something he can switch off, it is the foundation of his being. When he loves deeply, almost to the point of self-sacrifice. When he hurts, he feels it in waves that can take days, weeks, or months to subside. His empathy is boundless, allowing him to tune in to the unspoken moods of others. He can sense shifts in tone, glances, and silences that many people overlook. The Gemini woman, however, is wired differently. Her emotional world is filtered through her sharp, quick, mercurial mind. Rather than diving into feelings headfirst, she prefers to analyze them, dissect them, and put them into words. While Pisces might feel his emotions like a storm in the ocean, Gemini prefers to turn her storm into a weather report, breaking it down into patterns and logical explanations. This difference is not because she lacks depth, but because she fears being consumed by emotions if she doesn't maintain some level of control. To her, analyzing is a way of coping, of staying free, of not letting emotions drown her restless, independent spirit. In the early stages of their connection, this contrast can be fascinating and even complementary. Gemini often finds Pisces' emotional richness endearing. His compassion, his ability to sit with her feelings without judgment, his talent for understanding her moods without her having to explain, all of these qualities captivate her. It feels refreshing to be around someone who can sense her needs without her having to put them into words. For someone like Gemini, who is constantly in motion, this ability to be seen and understood so deeply feels magical. For Pisces, Gemini's lightness is equally alluring. He admires the way she doesn't get stuck in sadness or anger for long, the way she bounces back, analyzes the problem, and moves forward with laughter and wit. She teaches him that emotions don't have to be heavy to be real. She demonstrates that one can feel something deeply and then let it go, without clinging to it like a burden. At first, her breezy way of handling emotions seems like a healing breeze that cools his overheated waters. But over time, the very qualities that attract them can become points of tension. For Pisces, the Gemini woman may start to seem emotionally detached. He might interpret her need for space or her tendency to rationalize emotions as avoidance. He may feel that she doesn't want to dive as deeply into intimacy as he does, that she skims the surface rather than surrendering fully to love. To a man who craves soul-merging union, this can feel painful, even like rejection. From Gemini's perspective, Pisces' intensity can become overwhelming. His need for constant closeness, his deep vulnerability, his desire to merge may start to feel suffocating for her airy spirit. She values freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of movement, freedom to explore new ideas and experiences. If she feels pressured to provide constant emotional reassurance or to match his depth, she may become restless, even resentful. To her, his waves of emotion may feel like storms she didn't sign up for. This push and pull between depth and lightness often defines their emotional relationship. And yet, it does not have to tear them apart. It can actually bring them closer if they are willing to learn from one another. Gemini has the power to teach Pisces balance. She can show him how to step outside of his emotional ocean when the waters become too turbulent, how to laugh even in the midst of chaos, how to breathe without drowning. Her presence in his life can be like a lifeboat, pulling him up when his own feelings threaten to consume him. Pisces, in return, teaches Gemini something equally valuable. He invites her to slow down, to stop racing from one thought to the next, and to actually feel. He shows her the beauty of sitting still with emotions, of not rushing past them or explaining them away. With him, she learns that vulnerability is not a trap but a doorway to greater intimacy. His emotional honesty can soften her guardedness, helping her trust that depth does not have to mean loss of freedom, but can instead enrich her connections and make them more meaningful. When they embrace this exchange, their emotional dynamic transforms into a dance. Sometimes the dance is clumsy, he may step too close, she may pull away too quickly, but when they find rhythm, it becomes mesmerizing. Together, they learn that emotions can be both deep and light, both profound and playful. He gives her depth, she gives him perspective. He gives her intimacy, she gives him freedom. Still, this balance requires effort. Pisces must resist the urge to drown Gemini with his intensity, to demand constant reassurance or to cling when she seeks space. Gemini must resist the temptation to dismiss Pisces' emotions as excessive or impractical, and instead honor his vulnerability as a gift. If they can meet in the middle, their differences become complementary rather than divisive. Ultimately, the emotional dynamic of a Pisces man and Gemini woman is not simple. It is layered, shifting, alive. It can be enchanting when they lean into the lessons they bring each other, and complicated when they resist. But perhaps that is what makes their connection so transformative. It is not a relationship that leaves either unchanged. For Pisces, love with Gemini teaches resilience, lightness, and adaptability. For Gemini, love with Pisces teaches depth, compassion, and the courage to feel. And together, they create a union that may not always be calm, but is always full of growth, meaning, and surprising beauty. Long-term compatibility. Can a Pisces man and a Gemini woman truly go the distance? Can two souls so different in temperament, in rhythm, and in desire create something that lasts not just for months or years, but for a lifetime? The answer, as with most relationships built on contrasts, does not rest in destiny alone. It rests in their willingness to adapt, to bend, to compromise, and to learn from each other without losing themselves in the process. Long-term compatibility between these two signs is not an effortless fairy tale, but neither is it doomed. It is a journey that requires balance, patience, and a deep respect for the uniqueness each brings into the union. At the heart of the long-term question lies the Pisces man's vision of love. For him, love is not casual, nor is it fleeting. Pisces tends to dream of a soulmate bond, a union that transcends the ordinary and becomes almost spiritual in its depth. He doesn't merely want a partner to share meals or routines with. He yearns for someone who will merge with him on a soul level, someone with whom he can dissolve the boundaries of individuality and become part of a greater whole. His love stories, in his imagination, are timeless, like epics written in the stars. He wants a relationship that feels destined, that carries meaning far beyond the surface. The Gemini woman, however, views love from a different angle. For her, love is exciting, unpredictable, and best when it evolves continuously. She is not opposed to commitment, but she resists confinement. Her heart thrives on discovery, on newness, on the thrill of unfolding chapters. The idea of a relationship that becomes stagnant, heavy, or overly serious can feel suffocating to her. She wants to keep experimenting, learning, and exploring, not just in the world but within the relationship itself. While Pisces longs for eternal constancy, Gemini longs for endless change, and therein lies the challenge of their long-term path together. For their love to endure beyond the first intoxicating stages, compromise is essential. Pisces must allow Gemini the freedom she craves, and most importantly, he must not interpret her independence as rejection. Her desire to travel, to meet new people, to pursue different hobbies or careers is not a sign that she loves him less. It is simply part of her nature. Air must move, or it becomes stagnant. If he can understand this and grant her the wings she needs, he will not lose her, he will earn her loyalty. Gemini, in turn, must learn to offer Pisces the reassurance he needs. To him, love is a safe harbor, and if she is constantly sailing in and out of his life, he may feel abandoned. Her task is to show him, through presence, through consistent words, through gestures of care, that her curiosity about the world does not diminish her devotion to him. For her, the challenge lies in slowing down enough to anchor herself emotionally, even if only for moments at a time, so that he feels her stability amidst the whirlwind of her adventures. The long-term road between them is often tested when life brings inevitable challenges. Pisces, when hurt or disappointed, has a tendency to retreat inward. He may escape into dreams, fantasies, or even unhealthy distractions if he feels unseen or unsupported. His instinct is to drift away, to hide in the sanctuary of his inner world rather than confront harsh realities. Gemini, on the other hand, often copes by leaning outward, by socializing, by keeping busy, by distracting herself with activity and ideas. Her instinct is to escape pain not by withdrawing but by scattering her energy across 100 directions. This difference in coping mechanisms can pull them apart if left unchecked. He may feel she is avoiding intimacy when he needs it most, while she may feel suffocated by his emotional heaviness when she simply wants to move forward. The danger lies in their parallel escapes, Pisces escaping into the depths of dreams, Gemini escaping into the breadth of distractions. If they drift too far into these patterns, they risk losing touch with each other entirely. And yet, when they meet in the middle, something beautiful happens. Pisces can teach Gemini the value of staying present in difficult moments, of not running away from discomfort but embracing it as a teacher. He can show her that true intimacy is forged not in easy times but in the storms that test love's endurance. Gemini, in return, can show Pisces that not every storm must drown them, that sometimes laughter, flexibility, and a change of perspective are enough to heal wounds. She reminds him that even in pain, there is joy to be found, and even in uncertainty, there is freedom. Over time, if they both remain committed to growth, their differences can actually strengthen their bond rather than weaken it. Pisces' dream of timeless love can provide Gemini with a sense of meaning and grounding she never knew she needed, while Gemini's adaptability and curiosity can keep Pisces' world from becoming stagnant or overly idealized. He gives her roots, she gives him wings. Together, they create a relationship that is neither chained to the ground nor lost in the clouds, but something in between, fluid, evolving, alive. However, the danger of imbalance is always present. If Pisces clings too tightly, trying to bind Gemini to his vision of eternal togetherness, she may feel trapped and begin to pull away. If Gemini becomes too careless with his heart, dismissing his emotional needs as excessive or impractical, he may withdraw permanently, creating a distance that is hard to bridge. The success of their long-term bond depends not on erasing their differences but on honoring them, on weaving them together into a tapestry where both can thrive. Mutual respect is the anchor. Pisces must respect Gemini's need for independence, for adventure, for variety. Gemini must respect Pisces' need for depth, for reassurance, for closeness. Without this foundation, they may drift apart like ships sailing in opposite directions. But with it, they create a bond that is not only enduring but transformative, one that allows each to grow in ways they never would alone. So can Pisces man and Gemini woman go the distance? Yes, but not by accident. Their love story, if it lasts, will not be one of effortless ease but of deliberate choice. It will be a story of two very different souls learning, again and again, to meet halfway. Sometimes in the stillness of his ocean, sometimes in the movement of her winds. And if they succeed, what they build will not only survive the test of time but flourish, a living testament to the power of love that adapts, transforms, and never stops evolving. Communication conflict resolution. Communication between a Pisces man and a Gemini woman is both the brightest light in their relationship and the storm cloud that can shadow their bond. It is the very thing that pulls them toward each other in fascination and, paradoxically, the very thing that can push them apart in frustration. On the surface, they are gifted with complementary strengths. Gemini, ruled by Mercury, is the master of words, wit, and quicksilver conversation. Pisces, ruled by Neptune, is the master of silence, subtlety, and emotional resonance. When their rhythms harmonize, the result is a symphony, his intuition blending with her intellect, his sensitivity softening her sharpness, her logic clarifying his dreaminess. But when they fall out of rhythm, their conversations can turn into a tug-of-war where one feels unheard and the other feels misunderstood. The Gemini woman's gift is her ability to put anything into words. She can explain, persuade, and charm with her effortless flow of language. Her mind races, constantly producing new ideas, questions, and observations. She thrives on dialogue, and conversation is not just a pastime for her. It is a way of connecting, exploring, and even falling in love. To the Pisces man, this is captivating. He is enchanted by the way she can weave humor into serious discussions, the way she can make an ordinary story sparkle with wit, the way she can turn even the most mundane conversation into a lively exchange. He listens with his heart rather than his ears, soaking up the rhythm of her words as much as the meaning. To him, her voice is not just sound, it is energy, life, movement. But the Pisces man communicates in a language that Gemini does not naturally speak. He expresses himself through emotions, through the pauses between words, through the things left unsaid. His world of communication is intuitive. A glance, a sigh, a silence, or a subtle shift in mood all carry meaning for him. He often assumes others will pick up on these cues just as easily as he does. He hopes Gemini will feel what he cannot bring himself to say, that she will read his emotions in the way he reads hers. For Pisces, words are often inadequate, too clumsy to capture the ocean of feeling within him. This difference creates the central challenge in their communication. Gemini, moving fast, often speaks before she fully feels. She may brush off emotions she doesn't understand or skip over them with humor. Pisces, sensitive to every nuance, may find this dismissive or even painful. He feels deeply about things she perceives lightly, and when she moves too quickly, he feels left behind. On the flip side, Pisces' reliance on subtlety and unspoken communication can confuse Gemini. She is direct, curious, and thrives on clarity. When he withdraws into silence or expects her to just know what he feels, she may grow impatient or defensive, believing he is being vague on purpose. Conflict arises when these differences collide. Imagine a disagreement. Pisces feels hurt by something Gemini said in jest, but instead of voicing it, he withdraws, hoping she will notice his mood and ask. Gemini, oblivious to the undercurrent, keeps talking, assuming everything is fine. When his silence turns heavy, she may get frustrated and push for answers, only to hear vague expressions of hurt that don't match her logical recollection of events. To her, he seems overly sensitive. To him, she seems careless and cold. In truth, neither is wrong. They are simply speaking different languages. The key to resolution lies in their willingness to translate for each other. Gemini must slow down, not just with her words but with her presence. She must learn to listen with more than her ears, to listen with her heart, to pay attention to Pisces' silences, his gestures, his unspoken needs. She has to resist the urge to rationalize his feelings away or to fix everything with quick logic. Sometimes, he doesn't want a solution, he wants understanding. For her, this requires patience and empathy, skills that may not come naturally but can be cultivated through love. Pisces, in turn, must learn to express his needs more clearly. He cannot expect Gemini to be a mind reader, no matter how intuitive she can sometimes be. If he feels hurt, he must put it into words, even if those words feel clumsy. If he needs reassurance, he must say so directly rather than waiting for her to notice. By speaking up, he gives her the chance to respond in the way he longs for, instead of silently resenting her for not sensing what he never articulated. When they bridge this gap, something extraordinary happens. Their conversations become rich tapestries woven of logic and intuition, words and feelings, air and water. Gemini brings lightness, humor, and perspective, preventing Pisces from drowning in his own emotions. Pisces brings depth, empathy, and compassion, preventing Gemini from skating too quickly across the surface of life. Together, they create dialogues that are not only about problem solving but about growth, intimacy, and understanding. Even in conflict, their differences can be a source of strength. Gemini's quick wit can diffuse tension with laughter, turning heated arguments into playful exchanges. Pisces' compassion can soften Gemini's sharp words, reminding her that vulnerability is not weakness. If they learn to lean into these strengths rather than weaponizing their differences, their disagreements can become stepping stones to deeper intimacy. The danger, of course, is when they refuse to meet in the middle. If Gemini grows too impatient with Pisces' emotional language, she may dismiss his needs entirely, leaving him feeling unseen and unvalued. If Pisces clings too tightly to unspoken expectations, he may sink into silent resentment, leaving her confused and frustrated. In such cases, their communication becomes a battlefield rather than a bridge. But when they succeed, when they choose to honor each other's styles instead of fighting them, their relationship flourishes. The Gemini woman learns the art of slowing down and truly listening, not just with her mind but with her soul. The Pisces man learns the courage of speaking his truth, of trusting words even when they feel inadequate. Together, they discover that communication is not just about words or silences, it is about connection, about building a space where two vastly different people can meet in honesty and love. In the long run, communication and conflict resolution define whether a Pisces man and a Gemini woman can thrive. It is their greatest challenge, yes, but also their greatest opportunity. If they learn to translate, to listen, to speak, and to feel with each other, their conversations will become not only tools for solving problems but bridges to intimacy, growth, and enduring connection. And in that way, their differences transform from obstacles into the very glue that holds their love together. Physical intimate connection. When it comes to physical and intimate connection between a Pisces man and a Gemini woman, their energies could not be more different, and yet, it is precisely this difference that makes their encounters so intriguing, so electric, and at times, so bewildering. Their intimacy is not simply about passion or desire, it becomes a stage upon which their very personalities are revealed and tested. For Pisces, intimacy is a sacred language. For Gemini, intimacy is a thrilling game. One seeks transcendence, the other seeks exploration, and when these two approaches collide, the result is an experience that can be both intoxicating and challenging, depending on how they navigate it. The Pisces man approaches physical love as something beyond flesh and bone. To him, it is a spiritual act, a merging of two souls, a moment when the boundaries of individuality blur and dissolve. He is not content with surface-level pleasure alone. For him, every touch, every kiss, every embrace is a chance to connect with the essence of his partner, to reach a dimension where words are unnecessary and only feeling remains. In his eyes, intimacy is an expression of devotion, tenderness, and deep vulnerability. It is his way of saying, "I see you, I honor you, I merge with you." The Gemini woman, however, brings an entirely different energy. For her, intimacy is playful, curious, and filled with a hunger for variety. She enjoys experimenting, trying new things, and keeping the connection light and exciting. She is less inclined to sink into heavy emotional depths during physical love, and more inclined to treat intimacy as an adventure, a place to laugh, to explore, to surprise and be surprised. To her, passion thrives when it is unpredictable, when there are no rigid expectations, when the atmosphere is free enough to invite creativity. She may not always attach profound emotional significance to every encounter, but she certainly injects liveliness and energy into them. This fundamental difference can create both allure and tension. Pisces might at times long for something deeper than she is willing to offer. His soul aches for intimacy that feels eternal, while she sometimes sees intimacy as a momentary spark rather than a forever flame. He may crave stillness, eye contact, lingering touches that seem to last forever. She may crave movement, experimentation, laughter, and surprises. To him, sex is a sanctuary. To her, sex is a playground. Neither is wrong, they simply view the same act through entirely different lenses. And yet, the beauty of their bond lies in what happens when they find alignment. When Pisces slows Gemini down enough for her to feel the gravity of the moment, she discovers the profound richness of intimacy that is more than physical. It is spiritual, it is transformative, it is a bridge to something she didn't even know she craved. When Gemini lifts Pisces up into her playful world, she shows him that intimacy doesn't always have to be heavy or serious. It can be fun, spontaneous, and full of laughter. Together, they create an intimacy that has both wings and roots, both sparkle and depth. In those magical moments when they sync, their connection becomes a fusion of opposites. She keeps their intimacy adventurous and fresh, preventing his romantic gestures from becoming overly sentimental or suffocating. He brings emotional gravity to her playfulness, ensuring their physical bond doesn't float away into meaninglessness. This balance transforms their intimacy into something unique, neither purely physical nor purely emotional, but a dance of both. Over time, intimacy becomes their greatest classroom for balance. Gemini teaches Pisces how to live in the present moment, how to let go of expectations and simply enjoy the act of connection without worrying about eternal meaning. Pisces teaches Gemini that even fleeting encounters carry weight, that behind every playful kiss there can be layers of tenderness, that even in laughter there can be sacredness. He shows her that intimacy is not just an escape from boredom but a path to discovering deeper parts of herself. She shows him that intimacy is not just a portal to another world but also a celebration of life here and now. Of course, their journey is not without challenges. Pisces may sometimes feel hurt if Gemini treats intimacy too lightly, fearing that her playfulness means she doesn't value the connection. Gemini may sometimes feel pressured if Pisces' emotional intensity weighs down the fun she seeks, worrying that every encounter must carry profound meaning. Their challenge is to communicate, not just with words but with touch, with presence, with patience, so that both of their needs can be honored. If Pisces can learn to embrace variety and spontaneity without fearing it diminishes the depth of their bond, and if Gemini can learn to appreciate the emotional significance behind Pisces' desire for closeness, their intimacy becomes not only sustainable but extraordinary. It becomes a bridge between two worlds, between the dreamer and the explorer, between water that flows endlessly and air that refuses to be contained. Ultimately, the physical and intimate connection between a Pisces man and a Gemini woman is not about choosing depth over playfulness or playfulness over depth. It is about weaving both together into a love life that is unpredictable, transformative, and endlessly alive. When they succeed, their bedroom becomes more than a space for passion, it becomes a sanctuary where souls meet, laugh, merge, and grow. In those moments, they discover that intimacy is not just about satisfying needs, it is about writing a story together, one filled with both eternal meaning and sparkling spontaneity. Shared values, life goals. When it comes to shared values and life goals, the Pisces man and Gemini woman often find themselves standing on opposite ends of the spectrum, as though they were looking at life through entirely different lenses. For Pisces, life is not about how much one can accumulate, achieve, or conquer. It is about how deeply one can feel, connect, and transcend. He is the dreamer, the visionary, the soul who seeks meaning in every corner of existence. His values are shaped by compassion, empathy, and spirituality. He believes in love as a force that can change the world and in kindness as a currency more valuable than wealth. For him, the true measure of a successful life is not found in accolades or possessions but in the depth of intimacy, the strength of bonds, and the beauty of selfless acts. The Gemini woman, however, navigates the world with an entirely different compass. For her, life is about freedom, exploration, and adaptability. She thrives on change, on discovering new experiences, on collecting knowledge the way others collect treasures. Her values are built around curiosity, intellectual stimulation, and variety. She dreams of a life that is never stagnant, one where every day brings something new to learn, someone new to meet, or some new place to explore. While Pisces is moved by the call of the soul, Gemini is inspired by the call of the mind. For her, the world is not a place to retreat from but a playground to dive into. This difference in core values can create tension if not handled with care. Pisces, who seeks depth above all else, may at times look at Gemini's constant need for movement and change and see it as superficiality. He may feel that she is skimming the surface of life, never truly allowing herself to dive into the depths of emotional truth. To him, her endless pursuit of novelty can look like avoidance, like she is running from the kind of soulful stillness that he believes holds the answers to life's great mysteries. On the other hand, Gemini may look at Pisces with a mixture of admiration and frustration. She may admire his compassion and his ability to dream beyond the ordinary, but she may also see him as unrealistic, always chasing visions and fantasies without grounding them in practical reality. To her, his dreaminess can feel like a refusal to face life head-on. Yet it is precisely here, in this tension, that the beauty of their connection emerges. For while they may seem like opposites, they actually carry the missing pieces of each other's puzzle. Gemini, with her adaptability and action-oriented energy, has the power to help Pisces bring his dreams into the world. Where he might hesitate, unsure of how to take the first step toward his vision, she encourages him to act, to try, to experiment. Her zest for exploration becomes the spark that ignites his vision into motion. Without her, his dreams might remain unmanifested ideas. With her, those dreams can begin to take shape in the real world. Conversely, Pisces offers Gemini something she doesn't even know she craves until she experiences it: depth. While she races through life collecting experiences, he gently slows her down, inviting her to pause, to reflect, to breathe. He shows her that meaning is not only found in variety but also in stillness, in devotion, in returning to the same place again and again and finding new layers of beauty within it. He teaches her that even though life is wide, it is also deep, and that exploration of the soul can be just as thrilling as exploration of the world. Without him, she might scatter her energy endlessly. With him, she learns to anchor her restless spirit in something enduring. Together, they have the potential to craft a life that is neither solely about adventure nor solely about depth, but a combination of both. Their shared path can become a fusion of Gemini's hunger for variety and Pisces' yearning for meaning. They might travel the world together, but instead of just checking destinations off a list, Pisces ensures those travels become transformative experiences that touch the soul. They might dive into intellectual conversations, but Pisces will steer them toward subjects that awaken compassion, empathy, and spiritual reflection. At the same time, Gemini ensures that life never becomes stagnant, that Pisces doesn't lose himself in endless daydreams without tasting the richness of real-world experience. Of course, this balance does not come without effort. Both must make sacrifices and embrace growth. Pisces must learn to respect Gemini's need for freedom without interpreting it as rejection. He must understand that her curiosity about the world and her desire for independence do not diminish her love for him but rather reflect her nature. Gemini must learn to honor Pisces' emotional and spiritual values without dismissing them as impractical. She must recognize that his dreams and his sensitivity are not weaknesses but strengths, guiding him toward a vision of life that is deeply human and deeply meaningful. When they succeed in this delicate dance of values and goals, their partnership becomes a testament to the idea that opposites can truly complement each other. Their shared life becomes a blend of adventure and soulfulness, of action and reflection, of laughter and tenderness. They create a world where both exploration and devotion are celebrated, where freedom and intimacy coexist, and where dreams and reality meet in harmony. In the end, their shared values and life goals do not have to be identical for their relationship to thrive. What matters is their willingness to learn from each other, to expand their perspectives, and to see in their differences an opportunity for growth rather than a reason for division. When Pisces and Gemini embrace this, they discover that their love story is not just about two people with different visions, it is about two people who, together, can build a vision larger, richer, and more beautiful than either could have imagined alone. Final thoughts. So, what is the true compatibility of a Pisces man and a Gemini woman? To answer this fully, one has to step beyond the idea of simple compatibility scores or neat labels. This pairing is not straightforward, not formulaic, not the kind of relationship that fits easily into a tidy box. It is instead a story of contrast, of paradox, of water meeting air, of an ocean that seeks to flow endlessly and a breeze that seeks to dance freely. Together, they create a dynamic that is both enchanting and bewildering, fragile and resilient, frustrating and transformative. It is a love story that refuses to be ordinary, one that challenges both partners to grow in ways they never anticipated. At the heart of their connection lies a magnetic attraction, a spark that draws them together despite their many differences. Pisces, with his soulful depth and oceanic heart, is mesmerized by the Gemini woman's lightness, wit, and endless curiosity. She, in turn, is intrigued by the mystery in his eyes, the gentleness in his soul, the sense that he carries entire universes of feeling beneath his calm surface. This initial attraction is not a coincidence, it is the universe's way of bringing together two energies that need each other, even if they do not always understand each other. Yet, the journey from attraction to lasting love is not an easy one. Pisces and Gemini speak different emotional languages. He longs for vulnerability, soul-deep connection, and timeless devotion. She craves freedom, variety, and intellectual stimulation. Where he wants to sink into intimacy, she wants to skim the surface, tasting everything life has to offer. Where she values adaptability and change, he values steadiness and emotional merging. These differences can cause friction, misunderstandings, and even heartbreak if not handled with care. He may feel misunderstood, sensing that she dances away from the depth he yearns for. She may feel suffocated, worrying that his intensity is a weight that will pin down her spirit. And yet, to view these differences only as obstacles is to miss the greater truth. Because within these very contrasts lies the potential for extraordinary growth. Pisces has the ability to teach Gemini the beauty of stillness, the sacredness of emotional intimacy, and the fulfillment that comes from pausing long enough to truly feel. Gemini has the power to teach Pisces the joy of adaptability, the strength of resilience, and the freedom of living in the present moment. She shows him how to laugh when life gets heavy. He shows her how to cry when life gets shallow. Together, they stretch each other, pushing past their own limitations and discovering new dimensions of themselves. At their best, they become mirrors of what the other most needs. Pisces learns to lighten his emotional burdens by embracing her playful curiosity. Gemini learns to deepen her connections by embracing his soulful devotion. He helps her discover that not all freedom is found in running, sometimes it is found in surrendering to love. She helps him discover that not all meaning is found in depth, sometimes it is found in the joy of laughter and the magic of the moment. Of course, at their worst, they can fall into destructive patterns. He may retreat into escapism, feeling rejected by her independence. She may become restless, feeling confined by his need for closeness. If left unchecked, these tendencies can pull them apart. But when they choose awareness, patience, and compassion, their differences no longer become dividing walls, they become bridges. The truth is, love is rarely about perfection. It is not about finding someone who mirrors us perfectly, but about finding someone who challenges us to grow, who awakens parts of us we did not know existed. A Pisces man and a Gemini woman are not a couple that flows effortlessly without effort. They are a couple who must consciously choose each other, again and again, despite the storms and the misunderstandings. And in that choice lies the beauty. When Pisces and Gemini embrace the paradox of their bond, when they stop trying to mold each other into something familiar and instead celebrate the ways they differ, they create a love story that is unforgettable. It is a story of wonder, of laughter, of tears, of change, and of growth. It is a relationship that may not always be easy, but it is one that will never be boring. And for many couples, that is the essence of love, not comfort, not simplicity, but the chance to evolve together into something greater than either could have been alone. So, the true compatibility of a Pisces man and Gemini woman? It is not about whether they are perfectly aligned. It is about whether they are willing to embrace the journey. If they do, their love becomes a testament to the magic that happens when water and air meet, not to destroy each other, but to create mist, rainbows, and the ever-shifting beauty of life itself. In each other's arms, they may never find perfect harmony, but they will always find transformation. And sometimes, that is the most powerful kind of love story of all.